Here's the entire trading strategy that I use live with the Discord members. So I only use two models. Alright guys, so I have finally moved to Bali. I've been living in Dubai, but honestly it wasn't for me because all these skyscrapers and the worst thing about Dubai is there's not like you cannot socialize easily, right? Everyone is there to network with you and it's just very hard. But there are some pros to Dubai, but this right here, this is what I prefer, all right? So right now I'm living in this villa. We got the pool over here and yeah, that's our view from here. As you can see, we got the clean rice fields. I'm gonna be live trading with the Discord members and I'm gonna keep you guys updated. All right, I'm gonna break down the trade that I'm gonna take like right now in like a few hours. And we've been on a winning streak so far and I hope to continue that winning streak. But right now it's around 6 p.m. here in Bali and tomorrow I have some plans with my friend. For now, the reason why I moved to Bali is because, you know, there are so many like-minded people. Like, the other day I was at this co-working space, right? And I met two traders. They came to me and they asked me, oh, you trade as well? I was like, yeah, of course I do. And we had a good chat and stuff, but I couldn't do that in Dubai, right? Because wherever I went, like, it was such a, I would say like a fake culture. I'm not like dissing Dubai right now. If you're enjoying Dubai, that's well, right? Everyone is unique. But for me personally, I think this is way better than Dubai. And it's peaceful. The weather is very nice. Right now in Dubai, you're gonna die, bro. You cannot even go out at night. So it's just ridiculous right now. But it's a bit windy here. It usually rains here, which I don't like for now. I'm a huge rain liker, but it's been raining non-stop since I arrived here. But today we had sun, yesterday we had sun, and it has been amazing. So let's move on to the charts and I'm gonna be live trading right now and I'm gonna break down everything. Maybe I'm gonna lose, maybe I'm gonna win. Whatever happens, I'm gonna show it to you guys. And also I'm gonna break down the entire trading strategy for you guys so you guys can learn it as well. So see ya. Right, so just before I was about to analyze the markets, the random locals invited us over to dinner. So I couldn't say no. So we had good time, you know. We had a few drinks and we had fish and stuff. So that's something I've missed, to be honest, in Dubai. No one would ever do this, you know. And here there's you have communities, you have this family culture going on over here. Like they treat you like as a family. Every single person out there. So these random people, they invited us over to dinner. We had good meals and it was just wonderful. We shared some moments, you know. But then eventually I told them that I have to leave because the market is about to open in 30 minutes. So I was like, yeah, there are people waiting in the Discord, you know, so they're relying on me. So now let's move on to the analysis and I'm gonna give you guys my game plan for today. Alright guys, so this was the first trade that I took. I think this was on Tuesday. I couldn't record it, I couldn't vlog it, but eventually I told them to take a short position, and this was basically live in the Discord. My bias was bearish. Later on in the video I'm going to break down all the trades, but first of all I want to show you the executions on how they played out. So this was, I believe that was on, I think Wednesday, I'm not quite sure honestly. But here I told them to go break even and I went break even and then there was a partial level that I marked out and that was hit right there. I didn't go for a partial because I was with one contract, so I was just going for full TP. And within 30 seconds, within 1 minute, our TP was hit and that was absolutely fantastic. Don't worry, I'm gonna break down the entire trade later on in the video. So, alright guys, so it is a brand new day here in Bali. Yesterday, we had a banger of a trade. In 1 minute, we hit our full TP and we were done for the entire day. That's what we do here in Smart Money Cartel. But anyways, look at this beautiful view. Over there we got greenery and stuff. We got a little lake here, a pool, and we'll try to continue the streak, you know, keep winning. That's the entire goal. So I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so now before I move on to the next trade execution, and actually break down the trades, I have one advice for you, right? So if you are not like seeing profitability or consistency even after 2-3 years, it is because you don't have personal experience with the charts. And what I mean by this is that if you're just buying courses and watching videos and learning everything but not putting all that information into action, then unfortunately trading is not going to work out for you, because most of the learning comes from forward testing, back testing, and demo trading. All right, you can watch thousands of courses, you can buy hundreds of mentorships, but nothing's gonna help you more than your own personal experience with the charts. So my advice is, instead of watching every single new video that comes out, you know, of me or other gurus, just learn one model and practice that. Try to tweak that, back test it, see what works for you, what timings work for you, what sessions work for you, what pairs or assets work for you, and that's how you actually become profitable. So now that's out of the way, let's move on to the trade breakdowns, and I'm gonna also show you the execution that from the next day, and we actually had 2 winners, so we are still in a winning streak, which is crazy. So, and then later on at the end of this video, I'm gonna break down the entire trading strategy. So I'll see ya. All right guys, so this is the first trade that we took, and that got closed at break even with 1 partial. So you can see 2 recordings here. One is from my student and one is by myself, just to show you how it would look like if my student is copying my trades. But anyways, we were so close to our final TP, but eventually we got closed at break even. So that kind of sucked. But then right away, you can see that I went in for a long position on the 3-minute time frame, because originally my bias was bullish, and that pretty much hit the break-even zone first in a moment. So right now we were just waiting and stuff, but eventually we got this huge candle, and then we hit the partial level as well. But I was only going with full TP because I was in with 1 contract. So I was using the hammer and a magnet technique, and eventually we hit the full TP, and you can see the chat is going crazy. But that was pretty much it for the second day, and on Friday I didn't take any trades because I was not feeling like it. And so yeah, we're gonna continue the streak on Monday, and I'll keep you guys updated on that as well. But yeah, in a moment I'm gonna break down the entire strategy that I use for this, and so you guys can learn as well. Alright guys, so here's the entire trading strategy that I use live with the Discord members. So I only use 2 models in my community. I have a lot of strategies on YouTube, but I only focus on 2 on my Discord. So that is one of those 2. And you don't have to join the community, you don't have to do anything like that. I'm gonna give the entire strategy to you for absolutely free. So this one is specifically for NQ. And I have one for gold that I trade, but I'm gonna break down this strategy, and that's the strategy that I use to take those 3 trades that I just showed you. And again, we've been on a winning streak using this exact same model. So it is pretty much very simple. So first thing first, you need to understand that you really need like these 2 things to frame a trade. So a higher time frame level, PD array, and lower time frame confirmation. It really all comes down to that. But first thing first, what I do is I start my day on the daily time frame, right? And I see what has happened, where has price gone, and where it can go from there onwards, right? So let's say on the daily time frame, right, we have this high that price swept, right? So let's say price has swept this buy side liquidity over here. Now from here onwards, price can go into two directions, right? It can either just continue pushing up from here, or it can go down and it can go down into some form of fair value gap, because we need to understand that price only does two things. It goes from external range liquidity to internal range liquidity, and from internal range liquidity to external range liquidity. So fair value gaps are internal range liquidities, and every high and low is called external range liquidity. Now from here onwards, with this understanding, let's say that I see that price has taken out buy side liquidity, then my bias is going to be towards this fair value gap. Or if there's no fair value gap in this dealing range, then my bias is going to be bearish until we take out the sell side liquidity. Now, of course, we need to see some form of confirmations, and price will not just simply push down towards your drawn liquidity. You're going to have like these power of three moves, like till here. But pretty much I just get a rough idea where we can go. Daily bias is not that really important for this model. But eventually the real sauce is when we're about to trade. So what I do is before 9:30 a.m. New York time, right? So let's say this is 9:30 a.m. New York time. So we always want to be trading after 9:30 a.m. New York time. Now, the very first thing is before the market opens, I am marking out significant highs and lows and fair value gaps on the 15-minute time frame. So over here, what we have is a significant high. And let's say that there is a fair value gap over here as well. Now these are my two reference points, right? So let's say my bias is bullish. After the market open, I would be expecting the price to dip into this fair value gap, and from there I can frame my trade, right? So let's say that price after the market opens dips into this fair value gap. Now, once we are inside this fair value gap, that's when our entry model comes into play. So what we want to do is right after price is inside a 15-minute or even like 5-minute fair value gap, right? We want to drop down to 1-minute time frame, okay? So on the 1-minute time frame, let's say we have a dealing range, this high and this low. This is one dealing range on the 1-minute time frame. Now within this dealing range, what I want to see is a fair value gap. So let's say there is a fair value gap over here on the 1-minute time frame. Now simply I want to wait for price to inverse above it, and then I would pretty much take my entry and I would target the buy side liquidity. But it is not that simple. So there are some rules that you have to follow. So let's say on the 1-minute time frame there is a fair value gap. Good. Now what I do is I start going to the higher time frame. So I would go then to the 2-minute time frame to see if there is a fair value gap on the 2-minute time frame within this dealing range. Well, if there is a 2-minute fair value gap, then I will check the 3-minute time frame, right, to see if there is a fair value gap inside this dealing range. So we always want to take the highest time frame inversion, and our highest time frame is 5-minute. But let's say there is a fair value gap on the 2-minute in this dealing range, but there is none on the 3-minute, then we want to stick to the 2-minute time frame inversion. We forget about the 1-minute and we forget about the 3-minute or 4 or 5-minute, because on the 3-minute there is no fair value gap, right? So on the 2-minute there is. So we want to basically, let's say that if there is a fair value gap on the 2-minute but there is no fair value gap on the 3-minute, we just stick to 2-minute. But let's say that there was a fair value gap inside this dealing range on the 3-minute time frame as well. Then we want to move to the 3-minute and wait for a 3-minute inversion. That's why when I said earlier that my entry was on the 3-minute time frame, it was because I just waited for a 3-minute inversion. There was a 3-minute fair value gap that I was waiting for to get inversed, right? So let's say there's a fair value gap on the 3-minute, 2-minute, and 1-minute, but there's none on the 4 and 5-minute. And the highest you can go is 5-minute. Forget about all this, but the highest is 5-minute. Okay, but there's no fair value gap on the 4 or 5 minutes, so we stick to 3-minute time frame. Now, as soon as price closes above the fair value gap, that is basically your long entry. and you will be going break even as soon as the closest liquidity level is hit. So in this case, let's say price goes here, that is your break even zone. Then you can take one partial at 1 to 1, and you can take your full TP at 1 to 2 risk to reward, or some equal highs that are very clean up here. Now let's say that there were two fair value gaps inside this dealing range. So we would wait for both of them to get inversed, not one, but both of them, because we want extra confirmation that price will not just reverse from this fair value gap. So we want to see both of the fair value gaps get inversed, right? And again, we want to take the highest time frame inversion. If there's fair value gap on the 1 minute, check the 2 minute. If there's a fair value gap on the 2 minute, check the 3 minute. But if there's no fair value gap on the 4 minute, then you stick to 3 minute, okay? And if there's no fair value gap on the 3 minute, you stick to 2 minute. I hope that makes sense. But pretty much that is the entire model, guys. That's what I look at every single day. It's pretty simple, you know. If my bias is bullish, I just wait for price to tap into a 15-minute or 5-minute fair value gap after the market open. And the most important thing that I forgot to tell you is SMT divergence. SMT divergence is gonna just increase your win rate by 15-20%. So let's say NQ made a lower low, lower high, and lower low, but ES on the other hand failed to make a lower low, the new lower low, right? So you can see that we had SMT, so NQ made a lower low, but ES didn't make a lower low. And right after SMT, we get inversion. That is your A+ setup. I would take it with my eyes closed, honestly. One more thing that I need to tell you is that if V hit the closest liquidity level before our entry, then the setup becomes invalid. So I think that's gonna be it, guys. If you want to learn this model in detail, watch my previous video. It is on this model. But I hope you guys enjoyed this mini vlog. There are gonna be more coming in the future, but yeah, I just tried something new with the content, and I hope you guys liked this video. This is my first time vlogging, so if there are any mistakes or anything, or you don't find it like entertaining, just let me know. But it was fun creating this. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.